Vacuum filtration. So in vacuum filtration, we can use the vacuum for the removal of water from the sludge. So the process is called as vacuum filtration. So rotary vacuum filters are rarely used for the dewatering sludges from plants with the design flow greater than 20 ml per day. Adoption in handling water treatment plants waste is limited to thickening lime softening precipitates. Alum coagulation sludge, being more gelatinous, that's why it does not dewater readily by suction. Thus, in case we need, the pressure filtration is the more successful. So this is the vacuum filtration. We can see the sludge inlet. From that we can feed the sludge. Then chemical feeders. From that we can add chemical like alum and other. Okay, so like a chemical tanks, then a vacuum filter, then vacuum receiver, then conditioner tank. Okay, so this is what the vacuum filter, which is used for the suction of water from that sludge. Also, here is the filtered discharge and vacuum pump. Next, the process that is called as centrifuge. So this method of concentrating sludge to enhance the final disposal. So the resulting sludge is concentrated to about 5% solid, and the effluent contains about 300 ppm of solid. The centrifugal force throws the denser solid material to the wall of the centrifugal pore, where it is discharged through the nozzle located in the periphery. Okay, so in this way, this can separate the water and the sludge. So the centrifuge principle is completely different from the previous methods. So with centrifugation, it is a centrifugal force instead of gravity that is used to force the solid and liquid separation. So here the centrifugal force instead of gravity, it is used to force the solid separation and the liquid separation. This force is created in a conical cylinder bowl that rotates at a high speed up to 2500 to 3500 rpm. The sludge particles are pressed against the bowl and conveyed out of the centrifuge by a screw that rotates at a slightly different speed than a bowl. That's a few RPMs. So this is operating principle, that is sludge which entered, sludge plus polymer which entered from the one side. Okay, so filtrate or concentrate, then second part, that is thicken sludge. So at the end, okay, so from the one side we can feed the sludge, and at the end you can see the number 2 that indicate the thickened sludge. Okay, so thick sludge we can separate here, and water we can separate in the other way. Okay, finally third is a bowl, and finally fourth is a screw. Okay, so in this way we can remove the water, and finally the sludge, that is sludge, thickened sludge, and filtrate, he can be separate by this process. So this is the process in which we can feed the sludge in, and which separate solid discharge on the right side and liquid discharge on the left side. So due to the continuously conveyor of that belt, okay, which throw the sludge into the bowl, and which separate the liquid separately and sludge separately. Flotation thickening. So air flotation is most applicable in concentration of waste activity sludge and pre-treatment of industrial waste to separate the fine particulate matter and gas. So fine bubbles particles may be generated by air dispersed to the porous medium. Okay, so this again one of the method, the process which employ most frequently in thickening of sludges because of its reliable performance. That is a float collector, then sludge discharge. So influent which entered here and which rotate over the float collector, and which separate the sludge and which separate the effluent. So here is air dissolution tank and pressurizing pump. Okay, this is the subnatant which returns to secondary treatment from the bottom, waste secondary sludge from the reactor, and release compressed air which brings sludge particles to the surface. So here we can uh, supply the air from the bottom. Okay, so that's why the flotation, in this way the sludge which floats over the top and optic compartments, from that we can remove the sludge. To thicken secondary sludge with solid we can remove from the top, and the subnatant we can return to secondary treatment. Next, pressure filtration. So sludge can be dewatered by pressure filtration using either a belt filter press or a plate and flame filter press. Okay, so in pressure filtration, the sludge which can be pressed into the series of belt, so that the sludge which gets squeezed and which separate the water and which separate the sludge from that uh, waste. Okay, so the belt filter press consists of two continuous porous belts that pass over a series of rollers to squeeze water out of the sludge layer and compress between the belt. So this belt filter press, which consists of two belt or series of belt, and the water which allowed to pass through that series of belt, and that water get squeezed and the sludge layer compressed between that belt. So whatever sludge or effluent we supply, that sludge which get compressed between that belts, so which get separate the water and secondly separate the sludge at the other end. So in comparison to vacuum filter, belt presses have the advantage to producing a drier cake with much less energy consumption. Okay, so that is one of the major advantage of the belt filter press instead of the vacuum filter, that is which produce the drier cake with much less energy consumption, because the you can see the working of this belt filter press, in which you can see that black color belt, which is the belt which fitted with the roller, and the water you can see that belt wash. Okay, so water is allowed to flow over that belt, and that sludge gets squeezed between that series of belt, or the belt which over the series of rollers. Okay, and finally you get the water at the bottom, that is filtrate or wash water. At the right side you can see the dry cake, that is cake discharge and conveyor and alignment roller. Okay, so you get the water at the other at the bottom, and at the right side you can see the dry cake. Okay, so in this way uh, we can separate the water and the dry cake, okay, or dry sludge. So this is what the working of belt filter press. Okay, so what are the different parts, like a sludge feed from the top, then upper belt and belt wash, then gravity drainage zone, then a wedge zone, then belt wash, high pressure zone. Okay, so collection of the filtrate and wash water, and at the other end we can see the cake discharge and conveyor. Okay, so in this way, by using the belt filter press, we can remove the water from the sludge. So these are the different methods we can use for the dewatering of sludges. Okay, so in this sludges we can uh, dis we discuss about the different methods like belt press and filter press, then pressure filtration, then vacuum filtration, then air flotation, and the thickening of sludge. Also, we can use membrane filtration and centrifuge. So these are the various methods which are used in the sludge dewatering process. Okay. The next process that is called as sludge hygienation, and mostly the municipal sewage sludge hygienation in the sense disinfection. Okay, so disinfection of sludge. So after the dewatering process, okay, so the disinfection is one of the important thing, because it contains the bacteria. Okay, so that is the sludge hygienation. So municipal sewage sludge hygienation or disinfection is a procedure to reduce the content of pathogenic bacteria in the sludge below a certain level, which can be accepted by competent authority. Okay, so as the sludge which contain the pathogenic bacteria, that's why we need to remove that pathogenic bacteria from the sludge. Okay, and that is the sludge disinfection, that procedure to reduce the content of pathogenic bacteria from the sludge. Okay, so the need for the hygienation depends on the sludge disposal method and is important for agriculture dispose and disposal to landscaping. Okay, so if we are going to use that sludge for the agriculture dispose, or either if we use that sludge for the landscaping, so in this way that sludge hygienation or sludge disinfection is the major and important thing. Okay, so as we know, the sludge that is a thickened sludge, or possibly it is aerobic digested sludge, or either it is a dewater sludge. Okay, so hygienation method. So what are the different hygienation method? So we can use the thermal treatment, like a pasteurization method we can use for killing of bacteria, or also thermal other treatment may can use. Chemical treatment also we can use, like lime stabilization, that also we can use, or other stabilization we can use. Next, biological treatment, like you can say the windrow composting and tunnel composting. This hygienation method also we can use. And finally, you get the product like a soil conditioner or fertilizer, and also you can see the covering material and landscaping. So finally, you get the end product. So the first is a sludge, then hygienation or disinfection, and you get a final product. Okay, so sludge, it is a thickened sludge or aerobic stabilized sludge. And what are the different disinfection method? Thermal method like a pasteurization, then chemical treatment like lime stabilization, or biological treatment like a windrow composting and tunnel composting. And what you get, the final product, that is soil conditioner, that is compost or the fertilizer, and also the covering material and the landscaping. So this is the process of the sludge hygienation. Okay, so as we already discussed, what are the different methods we can use for the sludge hygienation? That is a thermal treatment like pasteurization, and also we can use the sludge drying method, chemical treatment in which we can use the lime treatment, and biological treatment in which we can use the composting of the sludge. Okay. So the final method, that is the conversion of sludge to the energy system. Okay, so the how to convert sludge to energy system. Okay, so before that we all discussed about the anaerobic sludge digestion, then the thickening of sludge, stabilization of sludge, conditioning of sludge, dewatering of sludge, hygienation of sludge, sludge drying bed. Okay, so how to convert sludge to energy system, that is what nothing but anaerobic digestion. Okay, so what is the first collection of sludge from the wastewater. Next stage, that is thermal hydrolysis. Next, anaerobic digestion. So after anaerobic digestion, conversion of that sludge into the biogas. So biogas, we can purify that biogas, we can purification of biogas, then compression of biogas, convert into the natural gas and can be used for the power. So that can be used for the power, and also we can use for the energy production, and that energy we can use at the site. Okay, or that powers we can use at site energy. Okay, where the digester use. So that process, whatever that anaerobic digestion process, that power we can use on site energy. Okay, and remaining waste, that is the further separation, and that sludge we can digest and can be used as soil enhancement. So this is the sludge to energy system. That means how to convert sludge into the energy. Okay, so what is the process to convert the sludge into the energy? First sludge from wastewater which collected, then thermal hydrolysis. Next, thermal hydrolysis, it is a thermal treatment. Okay, uh, next anaerobic digestion sludge, in which we can produce the biogas. then purification of biogas, then compression of biogas, methane, then convert into the natural gas and can be used for the power generation, and that power we can use on site. So remaining sludge that we can further separate and that digest and that we can use as a soil enhancement, or we can use as soil conditioner. Okay, so in this way we can produce the energy from the sludge and sludge to energy system. Okay, and at the end the final method that is called as final disposal of sludge. Okay, so finally, how to dispose of sludge? Okay, so mostly there are the various methods of disposal of sludge. The first thing, this disposal of sludge we already discussed. So mostly there are 2 to 3 methods of disposal of sludge. The first one is disposal by dilution. That means that sludge we can dispose in a water bodies like a lake, a river, ocean. Okay, so we can dispose the sludge into the water bodies. Secondly, we can dispose that sludge by irrigation or by the agriculture process. Okay, and either we can treat that sludge. So the final destination of treated sewage sludge usually in the land or ocean. That is, either we can dispose on the land or either we can dispose into the ocean. So dewatered sludge can be buried underground in a sanitary landfill or dumped to the ocean. So either that sludge we can dump by the sanitary landfill, that is excavated and dispose the sludge and cover with the soil, that is the sanitary landfill, or either we can burn that sludge by process of incineration, or either we can dump that sludge into the ocean. More recently, the beneficial use of dewatered sludge and ash from the sludge incineration have been developed. Okay, nowadays that incineration of sludge or burning of sludge that also done, and uh, that whatever that residue ash we generated that can be reused for other various process. The more advanced method of sludge or ash disposal are usually to reuse that composted or digested sludge in agriculture as a fertilizer or in landscaping, or reuse as a phosphorus or nitrogen in agriculture as a additional fertilizer. Okay. So that sludge we can use in the agriculture as a fertilizer. Also we can use that sludge into the compost. Also we can use in the landscaping. Also we can use as a phosphorus source and as a nitrogen source or as a additional fertilizer in agriculture. So mostly these are the various targeting to reuse the digested sludge or compost sludge in agriculture. And it also may be sprayed on agricultural land in order to make the use of its value as a soil conditioner and fertilizer, since sludge may contain toxic industrial chemicals and it is not sprayed on land where crops are grown for the human consumption. Okay, so if the sludge contain the chemicals, then it is not directly uh, disposed. That means if sludge may contain the toxic industrial chemical, then it is not possible to dispose or the spread that sludge on land, because the crops are grown and which used or which for the human consumption, that crops are grown which used for human consumption. That's why it may be directly affect the human health. That's why if it contains the toxic industrial uh, chemical, then it is not spreading on land or it is not used for the conditioner or fertilizer. That also one of the major thing. So this all about the sludge treatment methods, that is anaerobic sludgeization, thickening and stabilization of sludge, then dewatering methods, then hygienization of sludge, sludge drying beds, then composting of sludge. We can do the composting with the green waste. The sludge can be composted with the green waste that also produce the compost, which you use as a fertilizer. Incineration we can do, we can burn that sludge. And land disposal we can do, directly dispose on land or we can dispose on agriculture, or we can also use in landscaping. And energy consumption energy production, in which the sludge digestion which produce biogas that convert into the energy power. So this is all about the sludge treatment methods and the disposal of sludge.